Hey, everybody, I'm here with my great friend, Emeryville Council member Kalimah Priforce. I call him the man with the mind that is an integrated circuit. No joke. Actually, several of them. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. I'm good. Just preparing for the big day tomorrow, and so been,
Excited. Woo-hoo.
been moving a
Yeah.
lot, doing a whole lot. Just trying to stay one step ahead. Yeah.
Wait, one step. Hey, man, you're miles ahead of everybody else, and they're all just getting caught up in the backwash of what you throw out. So, hey, you're doing it. You're doing it. What? First of all, last time we talked about it was Berkeley councilman Igor Trelub that went off and had his own circuitrial damage, as I will call it. You know,
Oh my
messed
God.
up the brain there because he
Oh,
had to get involved in your affairs, which he should not
yeah.
have done. He
Yeah.
knows it. It was
Yeah.
most inappropriate on his part. Igor.
Yeah.
Ah.
Well, I mean, I remember. I think it was some sort of issue. Um, and I remember you and I talking, and you called him. And
Yeah.
you were like, cut it out. And Doug Blackshear did the same thing, called him and said, you know what, cut it out, stop it. Right.
Yeah.
And for some reason, and I'm a very nice guy. I'm a very nice guy, from Brooklyn, but I shouldn't have to get Brooklyn. And and thankfully it's brothers like you who help me stay composed, because you're able to give them a call and say, hey, and I can get a whole lot of other folks, institutions involved to say, you know what, cut it out. Like we can tell that you're using your power to sort of push him around. And unfortunately, he does this in the name of protecting, Courtney Welsh. And Courtney Wells, for some of you who don't know, is the current mayor of Emeryville, and rightfully so. She's the first Black woman mayor of Emeryville.
Applause.
Which is great. Yeah, and and I always give her kudos for that. At the same time, she's not very loved in Emeryville, and so she has a way about her where any criticism that is pointed towards her, she is very quick to say that, well, you're attacking Black women. Okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially when she does the attack, and then you hit back, and then somebody's like, well, you're attacking Black women. It's like, no, I'm fending myself in the way that Black women taught me, right? Because it's not like I don't talk to the women of my church, or I don't talk to my godmothers, I don't talk to the women in my life, all Black, and they say, baby, no, swing back. And so swing back.
I gotta make one little disclaimer before you get me into too much trouble. Ms. Mayor, a mutual friend of ours thought we should get together. She said you needed a boyfriend, and to me, no joke. And hey, I'm still interested. If you're still interested, don't get mad at me. I love Pre's my boy. All right. So just saying, when we meet, don't sock me in the jaw. I'm just doing my job. This man is news. He's my friend. He's a good man.
Wait, he's saying who needs a boyfriend?
I can't mention the lady that's trying to put us together. She does.
Oh, okay. Oh, I have no idea what's going on with that.
See, I just that because I was getting nervous.
Yeah, no. What I do know is when you come from me, don't get surprised if I strike back. Now, I may not strike back immediately. I'm 44 years old, and so I've learned a couple of things. I've started 3 companies, and I know what it is to manage teams and manage enterprises and to do the things that I've done. President Obama gave me a Champion of Change award. Well, his White House gave me the Champion of Change award, and the reason why is because of my ability to be a movement builder. and which was around STEAM diversity, coding, and helping to spark the Learn to Code movement, along with my friends. And I have a lot of friends, and so when someone decides that
Like
they
me.
want exactly, and then when someone decides that they want to bully me or they want to push me around simply because I'm to politics, or because I don't have that kind of proximity to this person in politics and that person in politics, like the DA in Philly just said, well, you're going to you F around and you're going to find out. And I think that is an issue that I have with Igor of the Alameda County Democratic Party, who thinks that that he's just going to push me around and do it in her name and do it for her sake. And and I'm kind of tired of that.
But Courtney wasn't doing that, right? Or was she? She was.
Oh yeah, of course she was. Of course she.
But you think maybe? Let me ask you. Do you think in her case, do you think maybe it's just like love taps, and that's maybe just her way? Or I'm just wondering.
No,
you're supposed to laugh at that. You're not laughing.
I think there is. I think we have a different. I think we have a varying view, like a deep philosophical view. I think a part of it is also that I'm Haitian American, and so my experience in America is of the child of immigrant experience, and so I view this country differently. And so, for example, on at the end of every council meeting, I get up to do the Pledge of Allegiance, because they removed the Pledge of Allegiance for some wonky reason. But that means something to me, and it means something to the people who asked me to do that.
Means something to me too. Yeah, right. Good on you.
Right. And so, because I know what it was to be treated as a second-class citizen, even as an African American, right? And so, growing up in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, that I'm not trying to be Black elite. I'm not trying to be bourgeois. I'm not trying to be like, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in helping my people, helping all people get from the boot of the system that continues to oppress them. And I'm going to shepherd as many folks as I can with me as I'm heading to the promised land, as I'm building that, while I have the lifespan that I have on this earth. And so I'm not interested in being aristocracy. I'm not interested in the perspective of, that sort of Jack and Jill mindset of, well, you know what, there's going to be some of us who make it and everybody else, too bad for you. I'm not interested in that. And I have friends who are Jack and Jill, and I have friends who are among that class, but they know better than to come at me like that. They know what my work is, and they respect me and they honor me just like I respect and honor them. But somehow, because I'm in politics and you new to me, you new to this, you new to this kind of person, then you decide that you want me to sign a collegiality pledge that I will behave myself once I join city council, which started all of this. And then me saying, hey, you know what? I think this is wrong. And so I think that is how it all started. Now you get to the point now where she's attacking the candidates that I'm supporting for Emeryville City Council. But I actually don't want this to be about her. I think that in the scope of it, because in terms of my day job, I have to deal with stuff I have to deal with global stuff all the time. It's just very small, and honestly, I believe she's very small. Not with all the brilliant people that I deal with every day who actually have something to do, who actually build things. It's very small, and so I'd rather just focus on doing the work of making the kind of impact that I can make while I am an elected official.
It makes a lot of sense. Hey, so tell us about on your Instagram site. I saw something that was wild. And I thought about different ways of presenting it. And I thought, wait a minute, my friend's going to be on the show. I can sort of just, bring it into the screen, right? Uh, and do it and go that way because I couldn't. It's a look that I think everybody needs to see with respect to John Bauters. Uh, I I thought, seriously, this is what is this, right? And it's pretty bad, folks. It's pretty bad if I to say the least. And if I can find it here, if it's still where it was, um, uh, yeah, there it is. You've been going up the Instagrams. There it is. Okay, I got it there. Now put it in this area here. Thanks to the magic of StreamYard. And as they would say here, it is right there. Instagram. Boom. Here's Mr. Bauters. Let's see if we can turn that up a bit. Right there. Here. Wait. Who is this dude, man?
Oh, so I can't share his name. The name was actually reported to me, because it's an ongoing investigation. I believe that there's a court date between him and Brian Donahue, who's the one who's actually recording. But what I can share is that he is on the board for a local language school in Emeryville. Sort of Emeryville, Oakland border, but is in Emeryville. So he is connected with our babies in some way. And for him to get violent, here's what I know.
Okay.
If he were a black man, he would have gotten locked up. He would have gotten locked up and he would have lost his job. If he were a black man, if he were a brown man, if he were any man than the man who we are looking at, he would have gotten locked up. Yep. And I think that is the white male privilege that John Bauters accesses. Even with him being gay, even with him being queer, he still accesses a level of white male privilege that makes him, I think, a horrible choice for a county supervisor in how he decides to govern and deal and treat people. And so, we call him Bully Bauters in Emeryville. And I believe that if someone were to call me Bully Priforce in Emeryville, that would spread. And I wouldn't have much of a career in politics, but him being Bully Bauters, that he's allowed to survive.
Hey, Pri, before we go too far ahead, I just want people to see this. I just for folks, I froze this, but watch what this guy does when I unfreeze it. Okay, watch this.
Yeah. So what happens is the person who is filming, he's asking John Bauters, hey, I recorded you previously, I talked to you previously, and you used an expletive to describe Councilmember Priforce. That's me. And he's just like, what do you say to that? And he goes, oh, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. Anybody can look at him and see he's lying, right? And so he said, so the guy says, well, you use the expletive and I'm going to use it now, right? And so there's another guy who's like, well, I prefer that you not to. This is this guy, right? And then he goes, because I think he's saying, well, he doesn't want it to be said around his kid. And so he says, well, you can walk away. And what's going to be really interesting is one of the reasons why that if he were black, it'd be treated differently is because I think us black people as brown people, we know that we always have the option of walking away, right? In order to avoid arrests, we know that in situations like those, if someone is doing something that we don't like or we don't approve of, we can walk away, because that's what the criminal justice system says. Just walk away. If you, the only way you can say you can defend yourself is if there was no ability for you to be able to walk away, for you to exit the situation. And so, and this person didn't do that. He could have picked up his kid and said, peace, and left, right? Because he's obviously seeing something not right here. No, that's not what this guy did, right? And so Brian has his camera and he's recording, and you can tell that he's trying to avoid filming the kid that's on his shoulders, right? And so this guy takes his kid off his shoulders, places them somewhere else, and then punches Brian, knocks him on the ground. And then what does this guy then do? He says, "You effing deserve it." So then he curses in front of his kid. So if your reason, your rationale was that you didn't want cursing in front of your kid, oh, hold on, you don't want Brian cursing in front of your kid, but it's okay for you to curse in front of the kid. I've never seen so much white male toxicity, and this happened in Emeryville. This happened at our Harvest Festival, which is a family-filled event, and it's happened in the proximity and vicinity of John Bauters, right? And then you can hear John Bauters says, oh, don't do that. But it's very weak. Right now, let me tell you something. If I tell my people not to do it, I get up and I say, don't do it, right? No, that's not going to happen, right? No, I'm not going to go, oh, Zenny, don't do that.
It's more like he's saying, oh, don't do that. Do it. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, Zenny, don't. Come on, son. I'm from Brooklyn. Look.
And I can't believe you actually, John. That's the thing, folks.
The thing that
you're just joining us,
go ahead.
You're seeing this, or you're hearing about this, wondering what we're talking about. I stopped the video here because I'm using this for fair use legal reasons. In other words, this is news, all right? And it's on Instagram. This is news. So I'm not, but let me, okay. He hit this. See, this stuff opens up with John Bauters at the table, right?
Yeah.
And what's he doing? Just talking? Well, let's play it.
Yeah. And then, so, one of the things that's really interesting is that he's not by himself, right? So he's surrounded by folks, right? And it looks like he's surrounded by just a predominantly white males, right? But go ahead, you can hit play.
All right.
Right. So there's one guy right behind him, right?
Okay.
So he's not by himself. He's no danger to him, nothing, right? And he says, "Oh, I didn't say that. Oh, I didn't say that." And then the other guy is filming Brian, right? He was on his camera and he's filming Brian.
Wow. Who's the guy with the dark glasses?
I don't know. It's probably somebody else. Probably another Yimby. Yeah. But go ahead. You can hit play. Right. And so this is when around where Brian said, well, I'm going to say the word because you said it. And, and then and so then another white guy pops up. Right. And I think he may be part Asian or something like that. But, white guy. He's definitely acting very, very white.
This guy's part Asian? He doesn't look
I think so. He's like part Asian. Yeah.
Yeah, what?
He's definitely acting very white male privilege. Like, oh, I could just do this. I could just do this and get away with it. And you know that you and I would never be able to do this and get away with it. No. Right? And so he takes his kid out and then boom, he punches Brian. Right?
Anybody is there another video with that fight or punch?
No, that's that's it. So what happens is
so I hate to ask, but how do they know it was a punch?
That's when the police show up. Yeah. No, it was a punch. Yeah, that's when the police show up, and And so because the police weren't that far away, And so,
Oh, so this guy was
yeah,
stupid enough to do this with the police in the vicinity.
of course, of course, of
Wow.
course, of course. Yeah, of
What a
course.
winner.
And so it's, yeah, but overall, okay, so Brian Donahue has this reputation of this history of being all in your face, right? And and I tell people, I said, um, did Brian is the way he is because of the history of corruption in Emeryville, wherein a lot of decisions are done behind closed doors, and so when Emeryville doesn't want to provide information, our city hall doesn't provide information, they just put a gag order on him actually, for no one in staff to answer any of his questions. When no one wants to engage in that sort of thing, when he sees electeds, he gets his camera and he's like asking them questions. He's like, hey, my readers want to know, what's going on, what's happening, that sort of thing. Now, Brian is a very tall, he's around my height. I would say he's about 6'3". He's a very tall white guy, kind of, a bit large. But and that can be very, very intimidating, especially for those who who are city seniors. What this older white guy and that sort of thing. And I've told Brian this. I was like, hey, Brian, don't do this. And I've condemned him publicly. Like, don't approach people. If you're in a private event, don't approach people, that sort of thing. But this was a public event. This was a public event that the city was having. And this is an elected official. And so, yeah, you can approach him and ask questions.
Oh.
Yes. And so this is not one of those situations where Brian was being inappropriate. No, Brian was asking questions. And so I think that it's unfortunate that Brian feels like he has to still do that, and I always check him around that, and because when he approaches me as an elected official, I answer this question. I was like, okay, sure, shoot, what do you want to know, right? And then sometimes he'll have his camera, and I was like, and he'll ask me, I'm like, okay, cool, and I go, cool, and he go, all right, Kalimah, you're so boring, right? And I'm like, what? I'm asking you questions, right? And so because I'm not like, oh, hide, I'm hiding. I don't do that. Like, come on. And you know what? I'm never going to do that. That's not me. As long as I'm an elected official, if someone wants to ask me a question, I would answer that question. And if it's a question I can't answer, I'll tell them I can't answer this question at that time. Can you skip to another question? But I'm not going to be the one that's like trying to hide from people, that sort of thing. But
hey, do you have John Bauters' direct number? We can call him right now, see if he answers.
I do have his direct number. I do not care to call him because, I'm always very careful about Brown Act violations, and so I try not to have any conversations with council members that isn't publicly.
Oh, you wouldn't be having a conversation. I'd be calling my phone.
There's that, and also I don't want to harass. I don't.
How's that harassing him? I'm just calling.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, I prefer.
I'm going to tell them I'm doing my show.
I prefer not to deal with them outside of the city council. I just prefer not to deal with that kind of nonsense, that high school behavior, immaturity that I constantly see and experience since I became council member.
Wow. Hey, so how's the campaign going, both with and without this stuff?
I think they have a chance. I think that Mia Esperanza Brown and Calvin Dillahunty have a really great chance. I think people are fed up, and they aren't your typical candidates. They're candidates that are coming out of the Emory Rising movement, and this movement has been building steam. And so I got into politics because I founded the tenant board for my building, the Courtyard's 65th tenant board, right? And so we were able to address issues that our landlord was having, that sort of thing. And our landlord has 3 properties, and so then we were able to spread to those 3 properties and talk to different tenants, that sort of thing. Try to strategize this corporate landlord, Core Essex Property Trust, who is one of those one of the landlords who are being investigated by the Department of Justice for price fixing using algorithms produced by RealPage. And so this is a bad player, landlord in Emeryville. And so we evolved the tenant board to being a tenant union that's all of Emeryville, right? And so as we were like trying to represent tenants all across, we realized that that the mechanism of a tenant union isn't going to move things politically in City Hall the way we need to, because as a tenant union, you want to be you really actually want to be focused on service and not really politics. And so, and part of service is if your landlord is tripping, then your corporate landlord is tripping, you gather 50 folks together, then we lock the rent. We lock the rent, we put it somewhere, and the landlord has to show a change of behavior, and then that becomes a negotiation, that sort of thing. Then we unlock the rent, and then boom, the landlord has the money, and those repairs or whatever needs to happen happen.
Hey, tell my viewers what the Emeryville Rising movement is.
Yes, and so Emory Rising, we realized that we had to create something else, and Emory Rising is actually inspired, and I've had meetings with race and equity planning out of San Francisco, and they've done a lot of work, they've had a lot of achievements in moving City Hall in San Francisco to create anti-gentrification policies and ways to be able to protect tenants and fight back against the astroturfing that's happening with the tech industry taking over our cities. And so, and the money
that what astroturfing is.
So astroturfing is this, YIMBYism is definitely a astroturf mindset, which is that you've got like this big interest money, and right now most of it is real estate money, and then you have people who are treating it like it's a grassroots movement, right? And they're making it sound like it's a grassroots movement, like, oh, we're going to fix our cities and that sort of thing, right? You're going to fix your cities with the money that broke your city, okay? All right. And so the astroturfers are folks who really, it's another wave of gentrification. It's just that they've found a way to organize themselves using tech tools, and many of them are in the tech industry.
So astroturfing really is just flooding the internet with a certain message, right?
Flooding the internet is flooding City Hall. It's changing our policies. So, unfortunately, a lot of my progressives are caught up in it, and so a lot of folks in Oakland, for example, have said, hey, there's some crime issues here. Can you deal with this? Can you address this? And then somehow our politicians say, street safety is such an issue. And, I think that's the real crime, What? What? And so, and then we'll push that. Well, they'll push it. And, and I remember Igor in the Democratic Party did the whole thing. And I have no problem calling them out on it.
Where they were talking about Igor Trelub was what he's talking about. Go ahead.
He's council member now in Berkeley, but, as chair of the Democratic Party, where they were talking about moving $10 million, I think it was around $10 million from the police budget into traffic safety. And I was going, wait a minute. So we have a crime epidemic happening right now that's coming from our pandemic, but we have a crime. You have people who are worried, people who are concerned, and the priority is traffic safety. Now I care about bikers, and I care about like what happens on our streets and those sort of things, and I love how they go, oh, well, there's some racial stuff involved, and the way our cities are planned, and the way that sort of thing, or whatever, and I'm just like, you are talking to me like I'm stupid, right? Like I'm stupid. Like I don't see where the money's coming from and what your priorities are. And so
I always think that's hilarious. It's like, oh, it's racial. Well, great. Talk about it. What do you mean?
Yeah, exactly. And I just feel like this thing that's happening with our cities, and that we this we call it AstroTurf Network now. The AstroTurf Network that's being fueled by tech industries, and I remember some of this stuff even when I was in the tech industry, where they were developing apps. Do you remember that app where remember that feature that they wanted to add on Google App Maps, which was to avoid the hood? That it would redirect, right. And so that mindset was already there, right? Yeah. That stuff was already there. It's just that now it's gotten amplification because of Trump. And so that, I feel, is where the tech industry, a lot of folks in the tech industry are going. Now, the Black and brown folk who are in tech, they see this garbage, they see this trash, but they're afraid to lose their job, so they're not really saying anything about it. And so you've got just a segment of those who are in the tech industry who are acting this way, saying these things, but they're really just trying to gentrify our communities and our neighborhoods. They're colonizers, and they want to fund the Bauters and the Welshes and those other folks in order to use for them to cleverly use their identity politics, right, or identity reductionism to hurt and prevent those of us who are most likely affected by the poor policies that they put in place.
Hey, so come election day, what are you telling voters in Emeryville to do?
So, of course, Mia and Calvin, I support them 1,000%. But, I think what I want to say to all viewers is there is a storm coming. And we're starting to see the sea level rise. Not just, climate change, of course, but also in, for me and Calvin, but also in how politics is going to be moving forward. And if what they couldn't get away with in the first and second waves of gentrification, they are now getting away with. They learned. The real estate companies, the developers, they learned a lot better, and they don't want. They don't ever talk about upzoning in suburban neighborhoods, right? They want those mom and pop shops, right? They are coming for those urban townhouses. They're coming for your homes. They're coming for your homes, and unfortunately, there hasn't been enough of a bigger movement to push this back. But we're still fighting. And me and Calvin are a part of that fight. And so I'm just happy that, I'm happy that whenever I see people respond so well to them and we'll talk about, hey, I'm a part of Emeryville that I don't see reflected on the city council, not in terms of the concerns that that I have about what's going on in Emeryville. I'm just very proud that they are just two brilliant young minds that I believe will help usher in a new age of political leadership in not just Emeryville but in the East Bay.
Exciting stuff. Tell them your website, my friend.
Oh, you can go to www.priforce.com or emeryrising.com. The Emery Rising website launches soon. And our voter guide, which is not just Emeryville, but it's actually the entire region of folks who we support and we believe support what we're trying to do at Emery Rising, which is to be a neighborhood group that affects political change in City Hall.
Got it. Emery Rising.
Yeah.
ng.com. Let's see how that and Emery. God, you really screwed that one. Boy, come on, folks. How about www.emeryrising.com, which is what I was thinking, but not writing. That was trippy. That was a trippy experience. emeryrising.com. Hey, folks, We'll come back to you later in the week. We do recap. What say you about the presidential election? The polls are Harris 49, Trump 46. Why do I think it's going to be Harris 50, Trump 44? Yeah. Why do I think that?
No. I think Harris got this.
Yeah,
I think Harris got this. The poll
Harris 50, Trump 44. That's a landslide.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. And that'd be a landslide.
That's a landslide.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a landslide.
Yeah. I think Harris got this. I think. Yeah. We're like people are just kind of blown away by the reaction, and this is just from we as Democrats, liberals, whatever, voting late, right? Like our numbers are later, and already the numbers are looking really good. This could be a blowback, and also you're seeing the energy, right? You're seeing the energy at rallies. You know, a lot of empty seats. You know, you're seeing a lot of and also there's just been a lot of mistakes that he's made.
I got to ask you the
800. Go ahead, I'm sorry, brother.
I got to ask you the 800-pound question for me.
Yeah, what's up?
When did you first meet Kamala Harris?
I've never met her.
Whoa, really?
I never met her. I never met her, but you know what's interesting was I'm one of the founders of the Hidden Genius Project, and she did contact us when she was, I believe she was state attorney general, and she wanted us to form a program that would teach those who are incarcerated and or formerly incarcerated how to code. And we had a vote. I was for it. I love the idea. But those of us on the board, we were, I believe we were outvoted. And so we didn't move forward with it. But thankfully there was another organization that decided to take that on. And so kudos to that organization. But I mean, so already she was thinking outside the box. And I've always highly respected her since then. I mean, I'm always going. I'm a progressive, and so I'm always going to be pro fixing the situation in Gaza. You know, in terms of the Palestinians and what's happening with Israel. You know, I'm always going to lean on the side of not any more war and what we're financing and that sort of thing. I'm Haitian, and so it's not like the United States, Democrat or Republican, has had a great relationship with Haiti and what they've done with Haiti. And so I am always going to be critical of U.S. imperialism and unchecked capitalism. And unchecked capitalism looks like more like feudalism every day. And so
funny how that works, huh?
Right, exactly. I just think that we were smarter enough and our society is more sophisticated enough to come up with better systems. But we just keep going back to the old system. And as a techie, when you keep going back to Windows 95, I'm like, well, okay, yeah, I know it's tried and true, but we keep going back. We need to move forward.
See, that explains why I love the old Apple 1984 commercial with a hot athletic woman with a short hair.
Oh yeah,
right. He's running with javelin. Goes right for the dude with a weird face on the gray big on the screen, breaks for his face and blows it all up. I like that.
Yeah. I just think,
and she's actually my type too. So anyway,
nice.
I had a girlfriend who looked almost like her.
Nice. I think that it's just any system that's trickled down has shown consistently that it just doesn't work. It doesn't trickle down, and that opportunity has to be seeded, and that opportunity has to be grown, and it has to be fostered, and then it can bear fruit. But it doesn't come from above, and I think that that whether it's trickle down economics or it's trickle down housing, anything that where if we take care of the wealthy and the powerful at the top, it's going to eventually reach the bottom. No, it's not. What reaches at the bottom is the crumbs, and you can't build a society on crumbs. Eventually, you can't. Eventually, the people will rise, and I think that's what Emory Rising is about. You know, they've been giving us crumbs in Emeryville for so long, and now we're rising.
Well stated, sir. Hey, thanks a lot. I want to see if we can get you on back later in the week. Don't move a muscle. Hey, everybody. We'll be back with another show a little later tonight. This is election time. We also are planning to be out about in what we call the field tomorrow evening, and we may be taking a special trip tonight. But subscribe to Zenny62 and that special trip. I'm talking about the Fayetteville Democratic Organization House. For those in Oakland who've never seen it, this will be a treat for you. All right. Pri, thank you so very much. Stick around, folks. Don't move a muscle. I got you.